Geriatric mums.
So I slept in Asda car park a lot. And then later on, like Paul would sleep in front of the house in the car. Welcome to Geriatric Mum.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about sleep, or the lack of. So we're going to discuss our top tips and things like don't do what we did, do what we said.
Yeah, and also if you do what we did, then don't be too hard on yourself. You know, nearly 6, it's getting better now.
And also, if your baby does sleep through the night, don't be that asshole who brags about it. It's not you.
No, definitely not.
So how was it for you?
It wasn't very good. I don't think it was necessarily Noah's fault. I think I was a very nervy mom. I was hell-bent on changing his nappy every time he weed. So I think he'd like breastfeed for hour and a half, and then he'd sleep for hour and a half, and then I'd wake him up and change him and then force him to feed again. How about you? How was sleeping for you?
Awful. Mia was the worst baby ever. He slept 45 minutes at a time until he was, I don't know, a few months. Let's talk about tips. Tell me.
Don't do what I did. I suppose routine, maybe have a routine so that they know that it's time to go to bed. So we still have the same routine. He'll have a bath, and then we'll read to him, and then we'll pat him a lot. And this patting is something that I made him like. It's something that my mum did to me, and I still love my hair being stroked. I sort of wanted him to like his hair being stroked, because the idea is that when he's an angry teenager, he'll let me stroke his hair.
It's not gonna happen. So no, we were one of those parents. We were like, they don't really need a routine. They're gonna be fine. They do need a routine. You don't need to be a Nazi about it. Like, you know, they don't need to go to sleep at home at certain hour, but approximately would be handy. And then when we did kind of bring in a sleep routine, I kind of conditioned him to, first of all, to use a dummy. He has got like a security blanket with his muslin, and we did a kind of little patting thing. And once we successfully introduced that, it was 5 minutes. We would give him a dummy in muslin, we'd turn him on his side, and he would go to sleep. And our friends would be like, "What are you doing?" But this was after
witchcraft is this?
But it was after loads of failed parenting.
Doesn't happen to us. He still takes 45 minutes at least. That's the minimum.
I think my top tip is that, you know, you usually have 2 parents, so try to do as much sharing of the night as you can. When he was very little, I would go to bed really early, so I would get a few hours in. Before Ben comes to bed, he would feed him like as full as he can. So if I was lucky, I would get like 4 or 5 hours of sleep, you know, when he was pretty little. Obviously, to be able to do that, you need to give them a bottle. So do that. If they don't want to take the first bottle, try different ones. And the same with the dummies. Like, he didn't want to have a dummy for first few months. It was hell. But when we finally got him to take the dummy, we tried a few different ones, and we found a brand that he liked, and it was like life-changing. Until when the dummy fell out of his mouth and he would wake up and we would need to put it back in his mouth. But it was still, it helped in that kind of falling asleep, self-soothing bit. We would also do, I don't think we did every other night, but we did, like, maybe I would do 2 nights, Ben would do 1 night, just to give yourself, well, just to give one of you, the one who's breastfeeding, just to give them a break occasionally so they can sleep a full night. So do that.
Yeah, so because I exclusively breastfed until I went back to work, so it was pretty much on me for the first 1.5 years.
Yeah, but I pumped, and then Ben would just give him a bottle. So it's still breast milk.
I just never, the pumping just didn't really work for me. And I had loads of expensive pumps and stuff that didn't work at all.
I would also say with when they're very tiny, the swaddling really worked for us, because he would just kind of wake himself up. It was just like, and it worked when he was very little. I know it didn't work for you.
It didn't work. I didn't know how it looked like a badly put together burrito. It didn't work at all.
I didn't do it. We just got one of those ready-made bags, that kind of swaddle bags.
I must say that the hardest thing, one of the reasons why I woke him up is because obviously you see that he's breathing, but also because I was so worried that he was getting too cold or too hot. Yeah. So he'd be in like so many layers, and then I'd be there like Is he too hot? Is he too cold? Are his toes moving? And he, poor baby, he must have just been like, fuck off, leave me alone. Let me sleep, woman.
One of the biggest mistakes we did, and this is one of my top tips, is try not to create crutches to get them to sleep. By crutches I mean getting them to fall asleep in a baby björn, getting them to fall asleep in a car, getting them to fall asleep in a buggy, because we all see those parents who walk around for hours because the baby is sleeping in a buggy, and that you are just creating problems for yourself.
Yeah, so I've slept in Asda car park a lot. And then later on, like Paul would sleep in front of the house in the car with Noah.
Yeah, and we had the baby björn thing. He would fall asleep, but the minute you would put him down, he would wake up, and it was hell. So I know that you think it's an answer. It is not. It is completely the worst thing you can do to yourself and the baby.
In the long run, yeah, it's an immediate help, but long term it doesn't work.
By the way, sorry about the noise behind us, because we are
beach lions here doing some
we are in Yellow Wave, so that is a volleyball. I think that really worked for us as well. I completely forgot that this happened, but I asked Ben and he said that this was really good. Is that we kept sleep diary, because you know we were like, oh, there's no rhyme or reason why he wakes up early or late, and you know why he naps certain hours. So we kept sleep diary for I think a couple of weeks or something, maybe longer. And what we figured out is that you can change their sleep pattern, but it won't change immediately. So it takes we figured it was like 5 or 6 days. If you want them to wake up later, you start putting them to bed later, and at some point it will shift.
And they recommend that you do that with when the summertime turns into winter time, the other way around, and if you go on holiday where there's a time difference as well. Because
something that I would say is that I don't think that you're going to have a child who goes to bed early and sleeps late, because that's not fucking going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I know you want it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So we did sleep training, and it was desperate times, and it was brilliant for us. Like I said, when he was very little, he woke up every 45 minutes. Then he graduated to waking up every hour and a half, and that was as good as it got, basically. So we were exhausted. By the time he was 11 months, we thought we have to give this a go. So we did the controlled crying, not cry it out, but the controlled crying, where you let the child cry for 2 minutes. You go in, you don't pick them up, but you kind of tell them that they're fine, you're there. Then you do 5 minutes, do the same. And I tell you what, it took 2 nights and he was fixed. But this is when he was 11 months old. You know, you should never do this before they're like 7 or 8 months. Like, you know, they're not ready to do it. But I have to say, it was amazing. And I know there's a lot of controversy about it. I know it's one of those trigger conversations, but each for their own. Like, obviously nobody suggests that you leave the child to cry for hours and hours, but they do need to learn to self-soothe at some point.
I swear, I mean, I went and woke him up. Even, you know, he would have probably just fallen back asleep. I'd be there. Are you alive? Did you fall into the ocean? We're kind of doing our sleep training now, so we've got a star chart. If he wakes up after 7 o'clock, he gets a star. Slight glitch in there that he doesn't know how to tell the time, but you know, it doesn't matter.
What we've done is, like, if he stays in his bed for 3 nights, he gives a star.
Well, I mean, we are so desperate that he's getting a star a day if he stays in bed until 7.
How's your week been?
It's been good, and my guilty mum moment is that I look at him over there and I think, doesn't he look cool? He's got a lovely little outfit that matches, hasn't got any holes, it's not too small, it's not too big. I cut his fringe and he looks like a cool little dude.
Yeah, he does.
And then I'm just thinking, like, what happened to the rest of the 5.5 years where he just looked like a fucking tramp? Yeah, so I should really pay more attention. I should really, like, make an effort a bit more.
We went to Belgium on holiday, and you know, it was great. Everyone was wearing masks everywhere, apart from a couple of Brits that we saw. But the rule is there and here that under 12s don't actually need to wear masks. But we made him most of the time to wear a mask. it's a conflicting thing for me because I think it's not going to hurt anyone, but he was so uncomfortable, and it's probably not strictly necessary. So I felt guilty, but at least I gave him a fucking holiday. He loved it.
I suppose it's good practice for the years to come.
Yeah, that is true. Good practice for the years to come.
Stay sane. If you come to Brighton,
Go to Yellow Wave.
go to Yellow Wave, the best
and
place
come and say
ever.
hello to us.
Yeah.
Cheers.